What is a soul, and do we have one? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the video. I hope those of you that are watching this are having a great night and a good start to your holiday season. So, not too long ago, I was on a road trip with a good buddy of mine. His name is Tristan. He asked me, passing the long car ride time, if I believe we have a soul. And my first reaction was like, yes, obviously. Seemed like a stupid question. He then said that in order to decide whether or not we have one, we have to first decide what a soul is. Hold on. Pause for just a second. I want to acknowledge some things about this video that I would have liked to have done differently, such as why there's a white shiny spot on my nose. I don't know why that's there. I didn't see that until I was editing. Perhaps also the way I made some of my points. But most importantly, I want to address the illustration pad because it did not come out the way that I wanted it to. It's kind of hard to see, and it's not the way that I would have done it if I could do it twice. The problem is, I know that if I hyperfixate on all those details, I'm never going to make this video. Because unfortunately, when I can't make something perfectly the first try, I have a tendency to just give up on it, and I have to remember that that's not the point of this channel as a project. So, bear with me and my terrible illustrations. I'll be fixing that issue as soon as I possibly can. Okay, back to the video. Upon him asking me that question, I found it far more difficult to answer, because I don't believe I've thought about it enough. My first reaction was to say that the part of my brain that is responsible for moral decision making was the embodiment of my soul, and perhaps of everybody's soul. So let's assume for a second that that is what it is. And this guy right here, this is me. Now when it comes to making bad decisions or good decisions, I tend to stray towards the good ones to the best of my abilities. For example, it would go against my ethical set of guidelines if I were to go kill someone, go kill another person. The only way I could see that working within my ethical set of guidelines is if I or someone very close to me is in immediate danger, and that's the only solution. But now, we're going to look at this guy. This guy is from an uncontacted tribe, and unfortunately for him, it's the dry season and they need rain. So they're going to take this guy, all these little guys right here, and now let's imagine they're all wielding spears. These guys here are going to sacrifice him to the sun god so that they can have rain. Now, to them, this is not a morally evil decision. This is just something that they have to do. The act is the same, whether it's them killing this guy for rain or me killing some other guy for no reason. The action is still exactly the same. So what I believe to be morally incorrect, they may not believe to be morally incorrect. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is because if we're going to assume that the soul is linked to your ability to make moral and ethical decisions, then having a soul, or even a good soul, is not based on the actions themselves and is based entirely on intention. The intention here is that they need water for their tribe. The intention for me is I did it for no reason. I wanted to. All of this to say that I would like to entertain the idea that the soul being the moral decision maker is generally inconsistent. I don't think it follows any guidelines that maintain a logical train of thought. So here's another theory. Let's say, and this is another popular explanation when you look up what is a soul. This is one of the, maybe I'd say the top 3 that come up. They say that the soul is the life of the body. Essentially what they're getting at is, imagine right here we have a big bucket of soul, and this sucker is like full to the brim, hella soul in there. This guy laying on the ground, he's not technically alive. He's actually not alive at all. This is a sack of meat and blood and bones. That's what this is. And essentially the theory is that the soul from the soul bucket goes into the lifeless piece of meat, and lifeless piece of meat turns into a human being with emotions and critical thinking and family members who they love. Now, this really isn't the worst theory out there. The issue that I have with it, though, is that it implies that every single living organism has a soul. And that sounds reasonable. I think everybody would like everything to have a soul. That's a cat, by the way, if you couldn't tell. It'd be great if all of our pets and all of our loved ones had souls. Now, the implication with this, of course, is that every single organism, imagine this is some cells, also has to have a soul. Every germ, every microorganism, anything and everything that follows the guidelines for being alive. Now, this one's a little tough for me to stomach, I think. I think that when it comes to the conversation of what a soul is or whether or not we have a soul, humans have an insane, inflated sense of self-importance, and that could be showing through me right now, but I think it's hard for me to consider that every single cell has a soul, anything that's even not connected with something with some type of intelligence. And this one's not terrible. It almost seems like it makes intuitive sense, but again, I'm looking for an answer that remains consistent and feels accurate, and this one just does not do it for me. It's very hard to rationalize that thought. Another thing we could consider is that the soul is the rebellion of the natural instinct. Now, this sounds like a bunch of word soup, so I will explain it. It's the ability that humans possess to make a decision that will cause the result to be worse for them and better for somebody else, a selfless decision. An easy example of this could be, in this car is a man. He's on his way home from work. He has a crisp $20 bill sitting in his pocket, and all day he's been looking forward to going out and getting dinner on his way home. As he's driving home, he passes by a man sitting on the curb. Now, this man is homeless. He doesn't have any money, any food, a home to go to, or a car to take him there. Man with 20 passes homeless man and says, you know what? I'll skip what I was looking forward to today so that this man can enjoy a hot meal tonight. That is an example of a selfless decision that goes against your best interest. Now, it's not inherently life-threatening. It's not the sacrifice of your life for somebody else's, and it doesn't always have to be. But your instinct, typically, is to hold on to the money that you make because it's a reflection of your time, and the decision to give that away is what makes humans in particular special in that way. Now, there's a couple things that I can think of in regard to this being the essence of the soul. The first one I would say is a dog, right? So, here's our dog. And we're going to give him a weird snout. This is a dog, by the way. That's a dog. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is that you know, that sense of human self-importance that I was talking about earlier, where you know, I propose that the essence of the soul is something that only humans are capable of. I don't really like that theory, but I'm not saying it's wrong. Here's the thing about our dog. The dog loves his owner so much, as dogs often do. If owner gets threatened by some type of external force, I'm going to attempt to draw a bear here. That's a bear, kind of. Let's assume that he's extremely vicious despite, you know, the personality I've ingrained into him already. Now, bear seeks to harm Mr. Man. And in return, dog, who loves man very much, is going to protect man. Right? Here's the main difference between this scenario and this scenario. Dog loves human. Dog goes to fight for human. Now, the difference is that while the dog is putting his own life at risk instead of the life of his owner, he's not considering that. It's an instinct. Mr. Dog here sees Mr. Man as a part of his pack. It's not an active decision he has to make to protect him, it's just what he does. Which only solidifies the idea that humans are the only ones with souls. So, if you don't like that theory, then you can cross this one off your list. For this next one, I'm going to ask a question. Is the soul that which bridges the gap between intelligence and moral decision making? Okay, we're going to pretend like this is a brain. Looks close enough, that's what it is. This signifies intelligence. And this over here signifies moral decision making, whether or not we make a good decision or a bad decision. Now here's the thing about intelligence. Intelligence can and does exist all on its own in all types of different creatures, such as a bug or another cat. Basically, any living organism has some degree of intelligence. The degree of intelligence that the animal possesses, big or small, is not really very significant. It's just the fact that it possesses intelligence of some kind. So every living thing has some type of intelligence to it. But here's the thing about moral decision making. Nothing without intelligence has the ability to make moral or immoral decisions. So somehow, in between intelligence and moral decision making, there's room for something to connect the two. What if it is the soul itself? Now, this once again implies that humans are the only things capable of having souls. But the idea, essentially, is that something with intelligence can absolutely exist without any need to make any type of moral decisions. A cat operates primarily on instinct, and a house cat operates primarily on routine. When it's feeding time, when they like to play, when they take a nap, all of those things do not require any decision making whatsoever. They do not balance their itinerary to figure out exactly what orders they should be doing things in, or how their actions are going to affect everyone else. Because as we know, cats are assholes. And that's not a diss on cats. I love cats. I've got 2 cats. But they're not nice sometimes. This could also suggest that all that's needed for a soul is a certain amount of intelligence, not just intelligence in general, and the ability to make moral or immoral decisions. For example, humans have a very high, in reference to the rest of the animal kingdom, have very high intelligence, which could be the reason they have the ability to make moral or immoral decisions, which would make the link that humans have between intelligence and moral decision making evidence of the soul. But that theory suggests that only animals or creatures with a certain amount of intelligence are capable of having souls. And if that one doesn't sit right with you, I don't blame you. Okay, let's move to a fresh sheet. Now, if you ask someone who bases their faith in Christianity, you may find that they'll respond with, well, there's a difference between the soul and the spirit. Hang with me on this. What they say is that there is your body, and within your body is your soul. And the soul itself is divided into 3 separate sections, being your... Oh, I've messed that up. Pretend that's an N. And within the soul is mind, will, and emotion, and within the mind, will, and emotion is the spirit. This, to me, makes actually a great deal of sense, because it suggests that the soul is what becomes of us when we experience life, living, feeling things, having people talk to you or hurt your feelings, or having bad days, good days. All of that creates all of this. It's the deciding factors of your personality that you absorb from the day that you're born. That makes good sense to me. The issue with this is that we have to then ask what a spirit is. And then we're back at square one. What is a soul? Fine, if this is what we want to believe the soul is, it's just the amalgamation of all that you experience and creates you as you know it, fine, but then what is a spirit? Then we're back at square one. If you're a follower of the Christian faith, this seems like a stupid question. This seems very easy for you. There's the spirit, and there's God. And the reason that I have a hard time adjusting to this style of belief is that anytime I have a conversation like this with someone of Christian faith, it feels very circular. And I'm about to explain how this is circular. If you ask them what is a spirit, they will most likely say the spirit is God, essentially suggesting that God is our soul bucket from earlier. And then you ask what God is, not who God is, not the creator of all things physical and non-physical, not the generator of the universe. What is God? What is he? And they go to spirit. And now you can see how that becomes circular. This actually follows a relatively consistent train of thought. As long as Christian beliefs firmly resonate with you, this does make a deal of sense. For me, I don't like it because there's not enough answers in it. Simply put, but I suppose that's kind of what Christianity is believing without extremely compelling evidence to make you believe. It's just believing for the sake of believing. So, if you're a follower of the Christian faith, this one might sit well with you. This one does not sit well with me. It's not because I am without God or without Christianity or without religion in general. This just doesn't make enough sense to me, and perhaps that's because I'm being too critical of the question, but this one doesn't work for me. If you go to find answers in different areas, like philosophy, you'll find that it's also not wildly helpful. A lot of it sounds like, the soul is you, or just straight in the other direction, we don't have one in general. I have not found any good answers in philosophy, nothing that makes a great deal of sense to me, and nothing that feels right. Which brings me back to the beginning of our video, which is, what is a soul? And I've drawn the conclusion, and this is what truly feels real to me. You can decide on your own what you think is correct or incorrect, but I think the soul is something that we are not meant to know about and or are not capable of knowing about at all. Imagine we have another stick figure. I know, who would have guessed? And this stick figure is completely two-dimensional. He can move this way and this way and this way and this way across the page. Not through the page, not behind the page, across the page. Now this 2D figure of ours was born 2D. He grew up 2D, he has a job 2D, a car 2D. If you ask him to tell you or describe or even think about what a cube is, he wouldn't be able to do it because that reality doesn't exist for him. It would be like us as 3D creatures. I'm not even going to attempt to draw a 3D human, but it would be like us as 3D creatures trying to understand the fourth dimension. Not theorize about it, but properly comprehend what exactly the fourth dimension is. It's not something we're capable of, I don't believe, and I think that the same is true for identifying what the soul is. I don't think we're meant to know, and I think that that's a more peaceful answer than actually knowing. Now, as far as what has a soul, this is kind of up to interpretation. Whatever belief you land on will kind of help you determine what you believe has a soul. But the way that I see it, it's either humans, everything, or nothing. I'm sorry if this is a dissatisfying end to this video. I think that we went on quite the journey here with this question, and same as some people watching this, I'm sure, if there is anybody watching this, this isn't a fulfilling answer. I want something concrete. I want to feel like I took this voyage and I actually wound up at a destination. But I don't think we're meant to. I think this question exists to taunt and tease and never really be answered, but also to inspire and generate thought. And I think it's a very, very good question. I encourage anybody watching this to think about it on your own time, whether when you're in the shower or driving and not listening to music, just a moment of peace and silence where you can actually think about it. I very much recommend thinking about this question because it is a doozy. I would like to thank everybody for their time. I hope you found this video edifying or thought-provoking or even annoying. I just hope this video made you feel some type of way. If you want to check out any of my socials, I'll put them all at the bottom of the screen here. And if you would like to see more content of this variety, you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel and like the video if you feel up for it. And I will see you next time I decide to upload.